Joining us now is Laura Cox, the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. So, Laura, we know that Gretchen Whitmer has come under a little bit of scrutiny over the past couple of weeks regarding these very strict restrictive measures throughout the state. But as of recently, she's also released her 6-part plan to reopen the state once again. Do you think that that is too little, too late?
Yes, I do. She has, people can't figure out what phase we're in. She's given unclear guidelines from the upstart, and people are frustrated. There are hundreds of thousands of people that can't get their unemployment insurance yet. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay their car payments. And quite frankly, they can't get their groceries. So they're struggling. They're frustrated. And we've needed leadership to look at the medical and as well as the economic way to get out of this pandemic.
And people that I've talked to from Michigan, too, point out that in some areas there is a pretty big outbreak, mostly in the more congested areas. But then there's parts of the state where there's almost no outbreak whatsoever. And that is really the measures that they're kind of pushing back on. They say, why can't we buy seed, for example, or go to Home Depot during these times if there's no outbreak in my community? And then they also point to things, for example, such as the Republican-led legislature in the state saying, we don't want to extend this lockdown. And then Gretchen Whitmer coming out and saying, well, that's not your choice to make. I am going to extend this lockdown. Is the debate being had right now more so about the public health versus economic effects, or is it an idea that maybe civil liberties are just being infringed upon in the name of public health?
I think the latter of what you said. Listen, there are 148 elected officials across the state that were elected by their communities to represent them in Lansing. And the governor doesn't want to listen to them. She just wants to rule like the Queen of Michigan instead of the governor. And she needs to work with the legislature. And she's bungled many things not working with the legislature, and she continues to do that. But the bottom line is, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are frustrated. They've invested their lives and their savings in businesses that are crumbling before their very eyes. They don't see a light at the end of the tunnel under her leadership or her lack of leadership, and they're frustrated. And they need some relief. And so, the legislature's trying to work with her. She refuses to work with them. And so we're at a standstill, and it's just very frustrating for everybody.
And especially those people who aren't getting paychecks at the moment. I mean, I always hear people say, well, they are getting that $1,200 check. They are getting unemployment benefits. But even that is not a sure thing. I've talked to people who aren't getting their paychecks, the $1,200 stimulus check yet. I've heard for people who have filed for unemployment benefits who aren't receiving those benefits yet. And I can't imagine the hardship that creates on an individual, let alone a family. And a lot of people are saying that those decisions made by Gretchen Whitmer right now are motivated by her desire to possibly be on the VP ticket along with Joe Biden. Do you think that that is any truth behind that statement?
Yes, absolutely. I think that she has strong political aspirations, and she's letting that cloud her judgment. She finds any opportunity, I believe, to pick a fight so that she can become more elevated in the national media instead of focusing on what she needs to do. We can do two things at once. Michiganders are tough. They're resilient. They can work on keeping safe. Businesses can open and be safe. People can interact and be safe. They can do that, and she won't allow them to do that. So like you said, people are losing their lifetime savings in businesses. My friend owns a salon. She's devastated. She's making difficult decisions about her employees each and every day. These are parts of her family that she's worked with closely for years, and she's making tough decisions. It's a difficult situation she's put so many Michiganders in, and they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel under her leadership. And that's very problematic for Michigans across the state.
And I understand that she has a difficult decision to make, too, because there are also people who are losing their lives at this moment, too. It's not an easy decision to make, but I think the way that people are going about it, to some degree, de-incentivizes dialogue when it comes to this issue. I think that we keep having to bring up that there are multiple facets to this pandemic. Yes, one is public health. Yes, one is economic. But even that, there's more than just that I just named right there. But I do want to touch on Michigan before I let you go, too. President Trump narrowly won that state. In fact, it was one of the defining states that got him to the White House in 2016. Now he's up against Joe Biden. How do you think he fares this way in this head-to-head matchup?
Well, I think he's going to do great. We're really excited, and we believe we're going to deliver Michigan for President Trump again this November. You know, we seamlessly went from a boots on the ground operation to a digital operation virtually. We've contacted over 2 million voters thus far, which is the high watermark that we reached in September of 2018. We feel great. He's fully invested in Michigan. He's delivered so many strong policies that affected family members and people across this state. And we believe that he will win again in November.
Yeah, and that digital thing that you mentioned right now is going to be even more so important over the next couple months because a lot of people can't go on the campaign trail right now. And so a lot of this campaign is going to be fought over the internet. I think that's a very important thing that isn't getting covered enough right now. But Laura Cox, I really appreciate you coming on tonight and breaking down what's happening in the state of Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.